Ready now?
Ready.
Okay, I'll call to order the regular meeting of the Common Council of the City of Hudson for Monday, January 11, 2016. Please join me in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, can you call the roll? What's that?
Okay. District 1 Morset,
Yes, here.
District 2 Elms,
Here.
District 4 Weber,
Here.
District 5 Hoggett,
Here.
District 6 Hall,
Here.
and
District 3.
District 3 McCormick.
And I'm chairing this meeting because Mayor Burchell is unavailable, and I'm retaining my right to vote as the District 3 representative. At this point, there's comments and suggestions from any citizens present about any item that is not on the agenda. Is there anybody that wants to talk? Please come up, sir, and tell us your name and address.
Hi, my name is Marcus Vickery, and my address is 816 Vine Street. I was at the January 6th meeting to talk about the Vine Street project. And I just wanted to reiterate some concerns that I have and add a bit of information. One is that several people were concerned about the safety of Vine Street for pedestrians up near the intersection of Vine and 9th. And so we'd really like to see something done there. Also, the power lines, there was some discussion about whether or not they could or could not be buried versus replacing some poles and moving some poles. There's a power line running through my yard that you can actually reach up and touch. And so I had Excel come out and look at it to make sure it is indeed a power line. It is. And I'm meeting with them on Thursday morning to get a sense of what they can do. They're talking about moving that power line. But they're also talking about taking some trees out of my front yard. And so I'm really hoping that you guys will consider burying those power lines. I think it would look much better. I'm not sure how much it would cost. So that's one thing that I'd like to be considered in the future is burying those power lines versus actually moving a few and replacing a few. Let's see. And I think that's about it for me. Thank you.
My name's Pat Colton, and I also have a property on Vine Street at 804 Vine. And during that meeting, there were some issues that came up that I think, or there was just some issues that did come up and some that I thought about after the meeting that I think are really important that should be looked at before this whole thing just gets pushed through. And one is there was just like a small handful of people that kind of live right in the small little area that were pretty much voicing their concerns to be the major concerns. They don't care if there's any parking for anyone else because they have their own parking. They're, they don't want to widen the road. They see no sense for it. Where, just common sense would say we should have that the road is too narrow and it's only for a short little period of time between 4th up to 9th. It's way too narrow. And the reason why I'm saying that is because it's the main route for the fire trucks. It's the main route for the school buses. It's the main route for the ambulances. Main route for the police going through the center of town. It's not only main route, it's the only route other than the freeway that goes directly from the river up to Carmichael. And it has heavy use, and not just, it's different than every other residential street in the city because the other ones, access people's house. This is just everybody that lives in the older part of Hudson, I guess. I don't know about the newer sections, but they use this all the time. It's a major thoroughfare, and that's not going to change because of schools. Both the high school and the middle school or whatever are there, and it's important to have that road as wide as the rest of the roads. Adding a couple 2 feet on either side of the road will greatly improve the safety. And it would also be really important, I think, to have parking year-round on one side of Vine, like right now can't because it's really narrow, you know? But if it was widened up, that would allow parking on one side year-round. You say, okay, what's the importance of having that parking? Like all these people, well, they don't care, they don't use it. Well, there are people that do use it, I'm one of them, and other people that don't have the alleyway access. But also, because it's a fire route and then, you know, there is a lot of traffic, there's UPS, there's the mail you know, the mail trucks. There are a lot of people that make deliveries that need to have a place to pull over. And right now, you know, there is no, from March 15th to November, or, you know, during the winter period for a good chunk of time, there is no place that they can legally pull over and park. And, you know, it doesn't make any sense to me that the city would go ahead and put those curbs back in the same spot just because, you know, just a small group of people don't want to bother with it. I mean, you know, it should be the legal width. You know, then the other concern is they talked about putting those power lines down, you know, under the ground, and then they said, well, it would cost like $8,000 or $9,000 more if we wanted to do that. And, you know, they didn't think this would be something they want to pay for. Well, then I got home and I thought about it. Well, then I talked to Marcus too and found out he's got power lines, you know, that he can actually touch. But, you know, we live where the old wall, you know, in the old part of Hudson where my house, I was 1857, you know, it's an old house. But there's a section there where there's a old wall that's been there forever that runs. And the fire department has told me they cannot fight a fire at my house because they can't get, you know, because of the wall and because those power lines are there. They can't, you know, use their lift like they can everywhere else to fight a fire. You know, so burying those, you know, I think that I pay a lot of taxes between both houses I own, over $12,000 a year in taxes. I should be able to have that property protected for fire purposes. You know, and it is a historic house in this whole town, you know, that it's important for the city, should want that. And then we were talking about a need for a bike route, which would be great for, you know, the future of, have more people riding their bikes. They could ride to work downtown. They could ride, kids could ride safely to school. And the boulevard.
Ma'am, can you wrap it up? We're running
Okay,
out of
yeah, the
time.
boulevard right there is really wide. It's wider than most any other place in town that I found. It's 18 feet from one side of the curb or from the curb over to the other side of the sidewalk. And even if they took 2 feet out, that's still 16 feet, you know, which is again quite wide. If those power lines were under the ground, they could create a nice bike path on the boulevard instead of in the street. So that way we could have parking on one side, we could have a bike trail that would cut through right through town, you know, and with energy pollution and everything else, it would be a good alternative, right, to get more people using non-motorized way to get to and from.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anybody else that wishes to comment? Yes, sir.
Hello, Todd Stonestrom, 800 Vine Street, and I'll give you one guess on what that topic might be. I'm following right in suit with everyone else, but I think I'm going to take a little different approach than, because obviously we were all at this meeting. Safety is a huge concern for us. This is our street that's in front of our houses. I mean, it is a city street. From a safety perspective, you know, I think many of us agree with what Marcus stated as well. When you look from Vine and Carmichael intersection to 2nd Street and Vine intersection, there's a stop sign on 2nd, on 3rd, on Wisconsin, on Grandview, and on Carmichael. These are major south corridors to get commuters from the north side of town, from Willow River area, to the freeway, to the businesses on the south side of town. 7th and 9th fit right into that equation. There's no stop signs there, okay? There's blind spots there. There aren't blind spots at the other ones. So to Marcus's point, I think many of us agree, whether it's 7th, whether it's 9th, something needs to be done to slow the traffic down. But, you know, I think from a widening of the street perspective, I'm here primarily with many other people that weren't here, so I took some notes down on what their concerns were as well. That widening the street adds really 3 major cons to the project. One is obviously cost. Okay, you're dealing with widening a street 5 more feet. You've got tree issues, you've got more pavement that you've got not only to pay for initially to put down, but also maintenance of that street being wider for the next 10, 20, 30 years. So there's definitely that component to it. Safety, obviously we touched on that. from a stop signs and speed perspective, but I think overall, when you look at a wider road, people tend to go faster. They feel more comfortable, and a wider road's going to tend to have people go faster. When I look at the width of the road in front of Casanova Liquors, I'm not sure if that's necessarily the same width that we're talking about, but the speed limit there is 30 miles an hour. It's 25 on ours. We have many more facilities on that side of town than we do people's residence on Vine Street. So I'd really like you to consider keeping it there. But I think the most important topic is the environment side of this. The city of Hudson issued an MS4 general permit in 2015. Minnesota and Wisconsin are working towards reducing the amount of phosphorus that flows into the St. Croix River. Widening the street basically reduces the impervious, or increases the impervious surface, okay? There's a buffer between the sidewalk and the street today that helps filtrate and absorb those materials back into the ground before it eventually resides in the St. Croix. That agreement between the two states is basically saying we're going to work towards reducing the amount of runoff. Today, the runoffs basically flank the swimming beach. So where our kids swim, the investment we put into a building there not too long ago, the runoff of our water is flanking where our kids swim. So the ability to have more of that cleanse itself before it gets into the river is really the good faith of what that agreement is. So I would really like you guys to consider remaining the width, but then also to Marcus and many other on our street, the overall safety and speed is something that concerns many of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else that wishes to comment on any non-agenda item? Okay, consent agenda.
To approve the regular meeting minutes of December 21st, 2015, with the clerical change noted from ordinance, should be 10:15, not 9:15. To approve claims for payment in the amount of $4,797,271.41. A detailed description is available in the clerk's office on request and is posted on the city's website. To approve the temporary Class B beer license and temporary Class B wine license for February 12, 2016, February 26, 2016, and March 18th, 2016 for the Knights of Columbus Fish Fry at St. Patrick's Church. To approve the temporary Class B beer license and a temporary Class B wine license for Hudson Hockey Association. To approve the application for a secondhand jewelry dealer license for Roy and Julie Leak, doing business as J.R. Halbrick, located at 210 Locust for the period January 12th, 2016 through December 31st, 2016, contingent on payment of any outstanding debt owed to the city. To approve the Class B beer and Class C wine license for Chen DP Inc., contingent on receipt of copy of the restaurant license, receipt of a copy of the Wisconsin seller's permit, and the surrender of the previous owner's alcohol license. To approve Lori Bernard, Carol Harden, Philip Burgett, Chrissy Schultz, Karen Duco, Devin Willie, and Susie Coram, who have expressed interest in being appointed as election inspectors. If approved by council, their term would be effective from January 12, 2016 through the December 31st, 2017, with the additional consideration that they may also serve as special registration deputies or special voting deputies as needed for election-related duties at the qualifying community-based residential facilities after training has been successfully completed.
Move for approval.
Second.
Roll call.
You seconded it?
Jim.
Oh, okay. Morset,
Yes.
Alms,
Yes.
McCormick,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Hoggett,
Yes.
and Hall. Yes.
Thank you. Discussion of possible action on emergency siren replacement.
Brandon is out on a call. At the last meeting, I don't know if it's council and finance, or at least on finance, they asked to bring back a price, including installation. So that is presented to you. The total cost is $25,678. I've offered suggestions out of the 2015 general fund budget where we could find that money that was unexpended last year and use that as a source to fund this siren replacement.
What would it come out of?
What? These are some excess funds. There's money left in disaster control, there's some in emergency government. The council annually puts about $10,000 into undesignated short-term capital for things that may come up. Nothing was spent out of that, and taking $9,200 out of contingency from last year. So it'll all be 2015 funds that will carry over into this year, so it won't impact this year's budget at all.
And this needs to be done, right? It's not working.
Right, it's not working, and at the last meeting, there was a discussion whether they should fix it or replace it, and the decision was made to replace it, but he didn't have an installation cost at that time, so this includes it.
Approval to up to $25,700 out of 2015 contingency.
Is there a second?
Yes, I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is discussion possible action on creation of chief operator positions in the water and wastewater departments. Kip?
I guess what I had said in finance, these positions were always here. It's basically a housekeeping thing. We're just making it official. The two individuals that I have in mind for this, they've been doing this job for 30-plus years, or they've been around for a long time. So, and then along with that, with the approval of the position descriptions, I'm also asking to put their wages in line with the Department of Public Works lead foreman, and just so everything's even across the board. So,
Any discussion? Any questions?
No, I'll move to approve the chief operator positions.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Discussion of possible action on advertising for bids for cross-connection survey and the related meter and software purchase.
Hopefully everybody was here for finance. If not, I can really try to run through this again. What I'm looking for today is approval to go out for proposals for purchasing meters. And the second part of that is for the cross-connection inspection program that we have to do. The meters are part of everything is basically through Public Service Commission and through the EPA, through Safe Drinking Water Act, federal laws. This basically meets all of our stuff. At this point, like I said, all I'm asking is just to go out for proposals. Once we get the proposals back, they would go through respective committees, and we'll figure everything out from there, I guess, what we want to do. What you're looking at on your sheets are just estimates at this point.
Any questions?
Yeah, what's the difference between a proposal and a request for bid? Are they one and the same?
That might be one for Catherine.
Well, this isn't exactly a competitive, it's not a required competitive bidding process as we have to do for public construction. It's required under our city policy. But one of these RFPs is actually for services. And typically, services, you do RFPs because there's a lot more factors to consider in what you might be asking for in services and what people might be offering, qualifications, timing, so forth,
Okay.
experience. The other is for meters, and I don't know that there's a whole lot of difference between the two. It's just that because it's under the purchasing policy rather than the state statute, we're not strictly required to go with the lowest responsible bidder. It's a lowest and best value concept for the city, but it is equipment, so presumably they would be, offering, they have to meet certain specifications and so forth, so there's less differences that might come up in that type of a proposal process.
So we would have documents that we would be able to
There will
actually
be, yeah.
sign agreements from?
Yeah, there's going to be a bid package, proposal package, very similar to the bid process. It's just that there's language in there more consistent with the purchasing policy. But it gives the specifications for the meters. And on the services, I guess that's pretty much the qualifications that are required and the work that's to be done.
Right.
Do you want to add anything,
No,
Kip, on,
that's
in terms of describing what
some-
we're talking about?
That pretty much sums it up.
Great. Any other questions, comments, suggestions?
I move we recommend KIP to put out our proposal bid.
Second.
Okay, I just wanted to say that the 5-year period is a good way to go. I just had, as I expressed during finance, concerns about the funding sources. So I hope that by the time you come back with the proposals, we'll have a better idea of where the
Oh, for
money's
sure.
going to come back.
Yeah.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Unfinished business, discussion of
Oh,
possible.
one more, sorry. Wastewater treatment.
No, I just wanted to let it go by. I didn't want to talk. Okay. It's not in my, it's not on the,
Right there.
there it is. Trying to get it out of my mind. Okay, Kip, tell us about that again.
A month or two ago, we had been approved to go for bid on re-roofing down at the sewer plant. The roofs are in dire need. They're leaking. They've been leaking for years. So we did go out for bid on that. SEH prepared all the bid documents, everything that was needed. We got the bids back. They are higher than what we had anticipated. So I guess at this point, you should have in your packets, you should have a document with SEH logo on the top. So if you just want to refer to that, I guess I'll turn it over to Justin and he can.
The committee was here. I mean, everybody was here during.
Oh, okay. If you guys want to hear it again, you can.
Well, maybe just for the people at home, Justin, you can give us the Cliff Notes version of what you said in finance? Why it was higher? What's your best option?
Again, three bidders bid on the project. We had base bid and 2 alternates as part of the project. Base bid was re-roofing the flat surface of the roofs, and alternate 1 was doing the metal mansard roof on the sludge building and pretreatment building. Alternate 2 was the metal mansard roof on the control building and garage. We had 5 award scenarios here. Award scenario 1 was to award 1 contract to McPhillips Brothers for the base bid work. They were the low bidder on that with $430,000. Award scenario 2 would be to award 1 contract to Diverse Construction Services for base bid and alternate 1. That price was $468,760. Award scenario 3 was to award 1 contract to Diverse Construction Services for base bid and alternate 2. That price was $471,361. Award scenario 4 was to award base bid and both alternates to Diverse Construction. They were the low bid at $509,161. And then the last option would be to consider rebidding this at a later time. SEH's recommendation would be award scenario number 4, which would provide watertight buildings for 3 of the buildings and then provide updated facades to 4 buildings out there.
Justin, the $400,000 that we had talked about before, the estimate that I think you came up with, was that to cover all of the same things that we're now going to be paying the $500,000 for?
The $430,000 you're talking about?
Well,
The original
The
estimate.
original estimate was from a company that Kip had from, I think they were out of state. It was near $400,000.
Was that
And-
for all 3 alternates?
No, that was not. That was base bid, and I don't have that with me. I think it was base bid and alternate 1. Or was it base bid? Okay, it was just base bid, so.
so the scope has changed from what it was when we talked about it before.
Yes. The scope was, alternate 1 and alternate 2 were added scope that if the council chose not to do alternate 1 or 2, would still be able to get watertight buildings. You just wouldn't get that updated look on those 4 buildings, so.
Any other questions, comments?
I'll make a motion to, you already make a motion?
Oh.
To approve alternate, what did you say, 4, option 4?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now we can go to discussion and possible action on special assessment policy.
This was just put on there as a continuation, and as I had notified the council lady, Tom Sifko has been out for a few days with a family emergency. I left it on here, but as Tom indicated, there's probably really nothing to talk about. And just for information, this is the general overall special assessment policy. It's not specific to Vine Street or to any other project, but Tom would have been here tonight, but he was not able to be.
Want to pass that one by? Does anybody want to talk about it? Discussion on update of Mallory's project.
You were forwarded an email regarding the update on where we were on the Mallory's project, so.
And Jason's here to.
I was requested to
Yeah,
come
what's
and
your
answer
name,
any
sir?
questions that you guys have.
What's your name?
Jason Johnson.
And you're with whom?
I'm with Dream Structure and CMM Holdings. I represent the corporation that owns the buildings doing the improvements.
Bring us up to date.
Bring you up to date. Well, everybody knows Second Street was closed. We sent an update on December 21st. Essentially, reconstruction of the front facade was completed the first week of December. New windows were installed into both the front and rear and south side of the building first week of December. The steel structure of the roof deck was set in place the last week of November. After that, block work was close to complete on the roof deck and the upper. It is close to. I should say the 21st. It was close. It is now complete as far as the block work is concerned. That was needed for the structure after the steel was set into place. There's a second level to the building that houses bathroom, stairway. That's heated 365. That was all completed, and the roof was actually installed on that this last week. New utility service was brought into the building as far as power and gas are concerned. Interior reconstruction of the building will be completed in the middle of January. HVAC units will be set in place on the rooftop in January. Plumbing and electrical will be installed mid-January to mid-February. Sprinkler system installation will happen mid-January to mid-February. The only real holdup has been when we originally applied for liquor license with council. We had set an anticipated date of March 2016 for completion. Upon bringing in 2 contractors to look at the sprinkler system and the water capacity for the building, we need to bring a minimum of 4-inch line into the building. Most likely going to bring a 6-inch line in, which means we either cross Second Street or we go to Locust from the rear of the building. We're working on that with Zappa Brothers right now, and going to start our conversation with the water and utility department pretty quickly. Most likely going to go the route of the rear of the building, down the alley, and to the center of Locust, similar to what Stone Tap did, having to go to the south side of Locust to connect their building. We're going to have to go north up the alley. We don't really want to cross Second Street. The actual connection for the water from the front of our building is on Wells Fargo side of Second Street, which would mean closing Second Street for about a week. We all know what happened when I closed Second Street for 4 hours. So we're going to try not to take that. We're trying not to take that route and actually go to Locust, but we do have to have some conversation with utility, water utility, about hooking that from that direction. Other than that, the project is, we've done a total reconstruction of the building. I think everybody's seen the front facade. We actually removed the old front facade. We had some issues with some structure that they had detached when they had taken the front facade apart in the past. We had to do some reconstruction to connect things back together, install new brickwork, windows on the front. I think it looks a lot nicer than it did before. And from as far as the inside, we literally took the inside back down to the front end of the building to the original early 1900s with the stone walls and the rear of the building to the 70s. And we're basically building a brand new building, other than the 4 walls and the roof.
When do you anticipate you're going to be completed?
We're hoping May at this point is kind of what we're anticipating. You know, the building construction, the way that we have our schedule set right now, we should be done with everything some point in April. Sprinkler system's gonna be the only holdup. We did submit through the state of Wisconsin for sprinkler, not only for capacity, but for safety. We do have to have that sprinkler in place in order to open. We do have to have the water capacity to the building in order to facilitate that sprinkler system. So as soon as the weather turns, we're planning on having everything in place with that contractor and having that conversation with water utility, over the cold months here to facilitate that as soon as we can. The longer it takes us, the more money we are holding on to in expense without having it open.
Anybody have any questions?
I think the only question we had on this was, or the general question is, do we have an issue with the date of opening and the license?
I mean, it's up to the council. I mean, you're the ones that make the determination. There's
We need
other,
Is there an extension in place?
yes, through, what was that extension through?
The extension was through March.
So we can
Yeah.
place on it,
A future
on the next
agenda.
future agenda to extend it to, and you could have a conversation with Leanne about what that
Okay.
date would be, and then we
And I have
can.
no problem coming before council for updates if you'd rather have me in person versus email. I don't have.
But if you,
Just so we get a final,
Right.
kind of a final date.
so if you want to let Leanne know, we'll put something on next agenda to the council, take action on some kind of formal approval of extending it to whatever date that is, and we still have 4 licenses. Now we've had a couple inquiries, but
3.
3, okay. So there's still licenses available, so this isn't keeping a license from someone else, so,
We just want to make sure we have a license.
yep.
That's why you need to come in and ask for another extension.
I guess my question, will that be on the next agenda then? Is that
Right, if you let
Well,
Leanne know
you
a
need to
date.
apply,
Yep.
Need to apply for that extension?
extension of what you currently have.
Okay, so we'll, okay, yeah, that together. Okay,
Thank you.
yep, thank you.
Okay, unfinished business, oh no, we're past that. New business, discussion of possible action on resolution 1.18.
Should be
1
Should be 1/6.
1.6?
Yep.
Changed it, huh?
Essentially, this is, we'll need to do another one when we hire a new finance officer, but this essentially takes the former finance officer all the bank accounts. Kind of a housekeeping thing, but, and it also establishes which banks we do business with. So if we were to ever add another bank, we would have to do one of these. So, well, you'll most likely see one of these at the time in the future when we hire a new finance officer, but. so
Move
is
to
kind-
suspend the rules.
All those in favor?
Got it.
Or we don't have to do that?
Roll call.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Morset,
Yes.
Haggett,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Holmes,
Yes.
McCormick.
Yes.
Move approve resolution 1/16, banking resolution.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next is discussion of possible action on conflict of interest waiver for Rodley, Besker, Newhouse, Murray, and Pletcher related to the Tower Road reconstruction agreement between the city of Hudson and the town of Troy.
Well, you got my memo and the waiver and consent. Our firm represents the town of Troy and the city of Hudson. The council has done this in the past with respect to the fire service contracts when it came up, and those were renegotiated, and so there is a history of cooperation between the town and the city. I'm required, however, by our professional rules to inform you of that conflict and to request consent. I do think this is well, I've explained it in my memo. This is a situation where city staff, basically, along with the town officials, worked out the agreement. It's already come to the council for approval, and I believe the town as well. And so really my only role and the other attorney in our office's role is to make sure the written agreement comports with the agreement already reached by the staff and the officials. And my understanding is The town board is meeting on the 14th, so they will be considering the same waiver and consent and the same agreement. So it would be contingent on their approval as well.
And this is what absolutely their firm should do. So I think it's the right thing to do, and does anybody want to make a
I'll move to
motion?
approve the consent waiver of conflict of interest contingent on town of Troy.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. You have something to sign?
Yes.
Yeah, she'll have that after the meeting.
Okay, next is discussion possible action, intergovernmental agreement between the city of Hudson and the town of Troy for the Tower Road project and authorization for the preparation of plans and specifications.
Tom isn't here this evening. The agreement you see before you is something that I developed with Tom's help, kind of took the police school liaison agreement and alternate. Catherine has reviewed it. It essentially sets forth who's paying for what the project is. There was that maintenance that the city would take care of for 5 years, and then, so that's all reflected in this. And then the second part of it is there is a proposal from Bolton and Mink that Tom Sifko has brought forward for the plans and specifications to get the process started for the Tower Road project. So you could
And
do them
this
as
would also be contingent on town.
contingent on town Troy's approval as well. So they're seeing the same agreement in the same Bolton and Mink proposal.
So the total estimated project cost is $913,000?
Correct. And our share, hold on a second, is in the agreement here. Well, there's a portion of it that would be split 50-50, and then there's a portion of it that's 100% the town. I believe the city's share, I want to say was 600,000, like that. That would be more than half. I don't have that. Tom Sifko would be the one that would have that number.
The city's share would be 600? The town?
I'm just trying to think here. So if you, city share was 4 or 450, I believe.
Okay.
But I, like I said, Tom would be the one that would know that exactly, but.
But we gotta get it done. I'll move for approval and contingent upon town of Troy.
And whatever bids came back, you'll see again before they actually award the bids.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. I don't know what the communications and recommendations of the mayor might be, but you'll have to check with him down in Florida. Communication and items for future agendas, council members. Anybody have anything? City attorney,
No.
city staff.
There's one thing that has been brought up by different organizations about the room tax allocation. We'll probably do that in February, because I know Al would like to have some input on that. So that, just if anybody asks you where that is, we'll, I believe probably the first meeting in February, we'll have that discussion.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.